Hello, welcome to Learn, Do, Become Radio. I'm April Perry, and today's podcast is about squashing the fear of out of sight, out of mind. If you're new here, we help people who are overwhelmed by the details of life to create simple systems so they can do what matters most. And getting out of disorder and getting rid of clutter and feeling calm and peaceful is a really important part of that, so that we can feel like we finally have the capacity to do those things we're most excited about, which hopefully includes the people in our lives and living with purpose, connecting with our higher power, and being able to have really just great health and energy and more joy. So before we jump into the topic, I just want to share a couple of beautiful stories that actually demonstrate why this topic matters. And these are from a couple of our community members. First, this is from Tanya. She's completing some parts of the STEP program. That's our Steps to Everyday Productivity program, where we help people build the Command Central. And she said, okay, I completed step 3.2, which is gather the level 1 items. Now, you might be wondering, what are we talking about here? So we help you look at your space that you're organizing and say, what are level 1 items that need to be handled very soon? Level 2 items, maybe the next month or so. Level 3, those are things the next few months. And level 4, these are more dormant items that don't have any tasks associated with them. So she put things in baskets based on levels 1, 2, 3, 4. And she said, plus I made a paper list of other areas in my home, mostly level 4s with a few 3s, as well as my non-level 1 digital items. For the first time in I don't know how long, my desk is clean. It only has the necessary papers on it, the ones I'm actively using at the moment, and my paper planner. I'm nowhere near my fully functioning Command Central, but I felt so much lighter last night, just knowing that my stuff was sorted into something that makes sense, and I would know where to at least start. Thank you, April and Eric. I'm so excited for what is to come. I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. Oh, I loved hearing that. All right, next is from Dion. She says, so it's only been a few days, but we have kept the counter cleaned off. My hubby even commented that it looks nice. Yesterday, as my grandson was in my bathtub, I resorted to using the open counter as a landing space, and I went through a new delivery box, and I left the contents on the counter overnight. This morning, I was saddened by the stuff still cluttering the counter, and I had to make a conscious effort to put away said contents and box and left for work. After work today, I came home to some stressed family members, and then as I walked into my bathroom, I was surprised to see my bathroom counter clean and clutter-free. I can't believe how emotionally uplifting it was. The stress just rolled off. I can't wait to continue this path. It's a bit like the Torrin Wells' new song, Take Back What the Enemy Stole. She has a photo of her beautiful, clear counter. And I love that she was able to equate that stress being able to just roll off when she didn't have that clutter to greet her. Because all of us are going to have people in our lives who are, frustrated at times or grumpy at times, or we're all going to have some kind of conflict or issues. That's just part of the human experience. But when we have calm all around us, it just makes us better equipped to be able to handle whatever is coming our way. Having clear space does make such a difference, but sometimes there's a fear that the things we move off of our flat surfaces won't be accessible to us when we need them. And today we're diving into how to solve that concern. And I want to start out by providing just a few case scenarios. Let's say that you need to do the following 3 things. Call Rose at the phone number listed on her business card sometime Friday. Mail a big envelope sometime in the next 20 days, and finish a big work project by Tuesday that has screenshots and files and papers all over your desk and computer desktop. Okay. Now, currently, the way you might remember to do these things is by setting the related items, like the business card, the big envelope, and the project-related papers and files, on some flat surface in your home or office and all over your computer desktop. It's comforting to see them all out in front of you, right? But now imagine someone comes and hides them. So maybe they put them in a stack in another room because they needed to set something else onto that space. How do you feel when you come back and you see the items are gone? Are you freaking out because you're sure you'll forget to do those things? Because out of sight, out of mind is a real thing. And that's why people pile things up all over the place. But today I'm going to show you how you can have clear, flat spaces without worrying that you'll forget anything. This out of sight, out of mind challenge is very dear to my heart because I spent years laying things out in neat, organized piles and then constantly reviewing those piles for tasks to do. And I could never walk around my home with a calm, quiet mind because everything was telling me something. I know you know what I'm talking about. Like you'll see this pile and you think, oh yeah, I need to do that. And then you see this item laying there and you think, oh yeah, I need to do that. So then as you're in your own home, you can't even replenish because your brain is giving you these reminders all the time. And on a more personal level, my mother passed away from Alzheimer's several years ago, and I witnessed her declining memory for about 7 years. Out of sight, out of mind was her every day. And in the early stages, I went to her house for a full day while Eric stayed home with our children, and I helped her. I thought, oh, I can help my mom get organized. So I organized her whole room. We spent the whole day. I put all of her clothes away, her little cards she'd purchased, towels. She had straws and like paper towels everywhere. I don't know, it was just all this like stuff. So we cleaned it all up and I either had it in her drawers or in boxes that were like labeled and stacked nicely. I came back a week later and everything was out again. Like that was when I knew something was really not okay with her. Because I worked so hard with her by my side and then I came out and it was all undone. So from her perspective with Alzheimer's, if it wasn't right in front of her, it didn't exist. But living with clutter and piles is overwhelming to many people. If you like your piles, you can keep them. I'm not here to tell you have to throw them away. But if it's overwhelming to you, I want to share a few techniques that can help. Essentially, there are new habits that will replace that current habit of constantly scanning our piles. Okay. So habit number 1, check lists instead of flat surfaces. I know some people don't like lists, and I've read some definitions or some descriptions where people have written out what the getting things done process is. That was my inspiration for a lot of what we do here at Learn, Do, Become. David Allen wrote the book, Getting Things Done. It's like list-based organization. And a lot of people say, oh my goodness, those lists are so confining. It's so much work. I hate lists. And, everyone can decide what they want to do. But here are a few things that will be helpful. If you want to get rid of that flat surface disease, if you can learn to check the lists, first the lists need to be few in number. So if you look at our step diagram, I'll put a picture of it here on the show notes page. You want to check the daily and weekly and as needed sections of the step diagram when appropriate. But look at the daily one. You're only going to be paying attention to your calendar, your next actions list, and then your tiered projects lists and routines. Those are over in the weekly section, but they kind of like feed into the daily activities. But when your daily list is very, very few in number and your weekly list feels really manageable and simple, now you can move forward. It's going to feel great. The lists also need to have only a few things on them. So not only do you have just a few lists, but those lists are short. Long lists don't get done. And so when we can learn to plan less than we think we have time to do, then we just have these little next in line lists ready to go, and it helps keep our focus. The lists also need to be trusted. That means that you don't use them just sometimes. You need to be looking at your calendar every day. You need to have a next actions list that you look at every week and update every week. Otherwise, you won't trust them and then you just won't use them. And then you go back to piles. Okay. So habit number 1, check lists instead of flat surfaces. Habit number 2, put items in logical places. And if there are associated tasks or projects, record the locations of those items so you can easily find them when you're going to work on the tasks or projects. Okay. Now, there's a book I read called It's Here Somewhere. It's out of print right now, but it taught me to keep items close to where I would use them. And it sounds obvious, I know, but I'd never even heard of that concept. But once I implemented it, my kitchen, for example, had centers for lunch making and baking, etc. When you're organizing, if you focus on centers of activity and not just container size or type of material, it just saves a lot of time and energy. Like when I was growing up, we'd have sandwich bags over on one side of the kitchen and then bread over on one side of the kitchen and then the peanut butter on the other side of the kitchen and then a knife somewhere else. So if you want to make a sandwich, you're like running all over the kitchen. So she recommends you have like a sandwich making center if you make sandwiches a lot, right? And then you have everything right there. So just that concept can apply not just to what's in the kitchen, but it can apply to all the other rooms in the house. And this is how I do project management as well, with files and, details, videos, things like that go with a specific work project. We just keep it all together. Julie Morgenstern wrote a great book called Organizing from the Inside Out that taught a similar concept, where she said, if everyone takes their shoes off in a specific place that's maybe 10 feet from the place you actually have a basket or shoe holder, just move the basket or shoe holder there where everyone's already taking their shoes off. Yes, sometimes we can kind of train the family and say, oh, hey, use this spot for keys or use this spot for your backpacks. But if you can organize in a way that already works with the flow of the home, it's just really simple. Like if everyone always comes in and drops mail in a certain space, you can create a mail center right there. So let's just work with the flow of the household. And then when you're working from a task list or projects list, you don't want to spend time looking for things. So with the written task or project, simply note where you will go to find the grouped support materials. For example, I will soon be sorting my parents' papers and journals and keepsakes. Both of my parents have passed, and I have lots of bins of their items. So there are 2 projects that are on my next in line projects list in the family section related to that sorting. One is for my dad's bins, one's for my mom's journals. So my dad's bins are all out in the garage, and my mom's bins are in my office closet, but they're like at the bottom underneath a bunch of other stuff that we've stored in there. So I simply make a note on that next in line project where the bins are. So when the time comes, I won't have to look all over the place and try to remember where I put them. And sometimes we think, oh, I'll remember. But what if you don't get to that task or project for years and then you really don't remember? Because that's kind of a frivolous piece of information that our brains won't prioritize. So just having it written down just makes it so much simpler. I can't even tell you how much this impacts my daily life. Even this podcast, for example, when I sit down to do podcast recording, I have a link to the Google Doc that has all of the content I've already planned. So when I sit down, I can just pull up the Google Doc and I could just get right to work. I'm not thinking, oh, where's those notes? I had this random idea somewhere and I put it in, I don't know, right? Makes it amazingly simple. And then habit number 3 is to stop the dropsies. That was my mom's term for what we did at the front door with all our stuff. She said, you guys have the dropsies. And when you get home from a busy day, maybe you have a carload of things or an armload of things, just take a moment to empty the car or bring things in and put them in their appropriate places. This doesn't just happen though, because we need to reserve energy for this. So the rule I try to follow is I get home when I still have 20 minutes of energy left to put things where they belong. Like I'm anticipating that. So as we're driving down the street, I'm thinking, okay, what do I need to gather from the car? These grocery items, I can put them down in the basement later, but I'll put them stacked next to the basement door. Or these items do need to go in the deep freezer. So as soon as I get out of the car, I'm going to put these right in the deep freezer so they're not going to melt in the car, or I won't forget them, or I won't have to come back out later or whatever. So when you can just anticipate, hey, let's keep a reserve of 20 minutes of energy so we can, do what needs to be done. Now you're not going to have a car full of stuff or piles of things everywhere. It's just kind of all ordered, and then you can clean it up as you go. And when you have to stop working on something mid-project, just clear the space and put it where it makes sense. That's why our support cubbies are so great, or support materials, because you can put it where it goes. It's all labeled, it's organized, and then note the location if needed or desired. But that way, when you work, you just clean up after yourself and then you get back to it, and it's not going to cause as much friction. These 3 habits might take a little time to implement, but you'll notice over time that your mind will feel calmer when your surfaces are clear and you feel like, okay, there's not a bunch of stuff all over the place. You won't be panicked because you'll know that everything is in a logical place. And as you use your whole STEP Command Central, the tasks and projects will come to you when it's the right time. So again, those 3 habits we're talking about today. Habit number 1 is we simply want to check lists instead of flat surfaces. Habit number 2, put items in logical places, and if there are associated tasks or projects, record the locations of those items so you can easily find them. And habit number 3, stop the dropsies. Are we on board with those? Can we do that? Okay. All right. Now, let's go back to the tasks we discussed earlier. First, you need to call Rose at the phone number listed on her business card sometime Friday. Just go ahead and put this on your calendar as a flexible task for the day. Keep that list very short, and you can just either write her phone number down with the task, or if you need to save the number, you could just go ahead and put it in your phone. Next, you need to mail a big envelope sometime in the next 20 days. Add that to your errands list on your next actions list. That's the little errands section. And then you put the envelope in the car so it's just ready the next time you're out. Or if you don't have a car and you walk places, you put it in your little out basket or something like that. Okay. And third, you need to finish a big project at work by Tuesday that has screenshots, files, and papers all over your desk and computer desktop. Just write that project on your current projects list and perhaps schedule time to work on it between now and Tuesday if you actually need to sit down and you need to have some hours clear. But keep all related items in your support materials, that can be digital or paper. And that way, when it's time to work on that project, you have everything put together, either in a cubby or a digital project manager, something like that. And the thing is, you don't have to be a mean person to make this happen if you have a busy family life. Someone made a comment recently that people who have clean houses are uptight and cranky with their families. My son, he's 16, and he was talking to me the other day, and he said, yeah, someone at school knows what you do. And they said, oh, is your mom always like making you clean? And he's like, no, I told him she just sends me a text every Saturday with the jobs, and then we just kind of clean up as we go. But like, it's not crazy. And I said, oh, Spencer, I wish I could just share more of your story with our community because I want people to know that you don't have to be mean in order to keep the house clean. And he's like, maybe I can come on your podcast. I'm like, I think you should. So hopefully Spencer will be coming on soon. But the thing is, we don't need to be cranky. We don't need to be mean. Some of my family members might prefer to have more things on their desks or flat surfaces than I would personally have, but I don't go around making them move everything. But we do keep the main surfaces of the home clear, and I personally keep all of my flat surfaces clear because I just really like that. It just feels better to all of us to be able to have clear shared space, and really it's simply a matter of creating these new habits. Okay, so I hope this is helpful. Come to our show notes page. You can learn more about a free training to learn about how to finally stop drowning in piles. Actually, you can just go to learndobecome.com/step. And then come to the show notes though, because we have all of this written out for you. We also have links to our YouTube channel and our Arise membership, our directory, just awesome stuff that we have going on here at Learn, Do, Become. Okay, so happy you're here with us. Have an amazing day, and we'll see you soon.